to move that to the end of the meeting. But the one thing I wanted to quickly discuss is how everybody else feels about the public input at the beginning of the meetings. And we could start from left to right here. So we can start with Norm.
I'm for the end.
So you don't want it at the beginning?
No.
Okay, Wes? Sorry, Councilor Craig?
I would like it at the end as well.
Okay, Councilor Tinsley?
I would like it at the end as well.
And Councilor Sue Poulsen?
I would like it at the end, as it usually is, but I would also like to consider it at the beginning if the guidelines are followed. Like it got right out of control at the last several council meetings with people asking 10 or 15 questions and getting right off topic, not focusing on the topics that were on the agenda. But if it's at the beginning, it would give the people an opportunity to ask questions about what's on the agenda coming up. But that has to be followed strictly, rather than letting people stand up and just go on and on.
Yeah, what they had before was it was open questions at the beginning and only the agenda issues at the end. So I agree with Sue in that we should have people discuss what's on the agenda. But however, there's 5 of us to vote on that. And so I guess we need to make a resolution. We need to do a motion. So the motion would be removing the question period, the public input at the beginning, strictly to the end of the meeting and eliminating the beginning part of it. So we have.
I second
Sorry?
that. No, hold a minute. I want it at the end, pardon me.
That's where, yes, the motion is to hold it just at the end, nothing at the beginning.
Okay, I will second that.
Okay, discussion? Again, or all in favor, sorry?
In favor?
In favor?
Wes is in.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
I agree with Sue, though, that it should be at the beginning, but the vote rules. And we're going to make a change on that bylaw eventually here, but we'll take out that question period from the beginning. Okay, introduction of late items. CAO, do we have any late items? I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
No, there are no late items to add to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I haven't figured out where those actually go and we don't have any. Okay, so now the approval of agenda, that the agenda for the regular meeting held on December 15th, 2020 be approved. So moved by. Do we have a first?
I'll move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Minutes of the previous meeting. That the minutes from the inaugural council meeting held on December 1st, 2020 be adopted.
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? Okay, so that's carried as well. That the minutes from the regular council meeting held on December 1st, the regular meeting, be adopted. Do we have a
So
first?
moved.
Second?
I'll
Do
second
we have
it.
you have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Oh, I got some discussion on it.
Okay. Discussion, Councillor Craig?
The motions that were voted on, they say carried, but it doesn't say who opposed any of these motions.
CAO?
I would like,
Yes,
I would,
generally, We don't put that on there because decisions that are made by council are deemed to be ones that are supported by the entire council. So unless somebody requests specifically to show that they did not support the motion, we show it as carried. And of course, there's a request that even if the individual councillors don't support the motion, that there is support for the intent of carrying out the work as the work of council. So that's why it's not shown as people being opposed. It shows council as having one voice.
I see. So the only way going forward to show an opposition to a motion is either specifically request it. Can we make a bylaw that, or move a motion that it can be automatically included on there?
I can bring forward a proposed set of changes to the procedures bylaw at some point in the future, which could include that as an option to discuss. However, again, the intent is that council resolutions are intended to be supported by the entire council, regardless of how one individual member voted, because it's council as a whole that has responsibility for the work.
Oh, I definitely understand that. I would like to say that when it comes time for elections, people would like to know how their candidate actually voted during the course of their tenure to see whether or not they would support that person going in. So I guess what I'm going to be doing from now on is specifically requesting if something was voted against to be put on the minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move on. Petition and delegations, we don't have any. Correspondence,
Sorry, Mr. Mayor,
Sorry?
can I ask, I didn't hear you read both motions. Did you read the resolution for the inaugural minutes?
I did.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay, thank you. So petition and
Could I
delegations is
just go
done.
back? I can't turn, sorry, could I just go back for a minute? I can't turn my pages quick enough, and I've got, for the inaugural minutes, I had a couple of corrections that I'd like to comment on. Under 4C, that Councillor West Craig be appointed to the, and instead of Sayward Community Tourism Committee, it should be Sayward Future Society Board.
Okay, noted.
Okay. And then on just above item 5, it says motion 12002 that staff bring back all appointments in 2021. And I would like to add that staff bring back and review all appointments in 2021. Because I think we said that we wanted to review the positions in 1 year.
Yes,
The
We did,
appointments.
Yes. We did.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Okay, so we're good? Sorry? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're moving on. Correspondence. The application to amend Village of Sayward zoning bylaw number 309, 2000, application dated June 15th, 2020. So we need a motion to accept correspondence. Do we have a first?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second. All in favor?
So West says yes.
Discussion? No? Okay, moving on.
Well, what is this about? What is the zoning bylaw about?
You'll see in your agenda, you have those, or not in your agenda, but your package.
Have I got a pack?
In there, you should have copies of the bylaws that they're referring to. Did you want to
Okay.
speak to it? Did you want to speak to it, Ann?
No,
Sorry, CAO?
Yes, well, this is an application that was submitted in June. It was presented to a previous council for information purposes. But, you know, there's been a bit of a time between. There's 3 new councillors, or a new mayor and 2 new councillors. And so we're putting it on the agenda tonight so that you've got it. And then you'll see it's also included in the worksheet. And it'll be coming back in January for more discussion. We're arranging to have the applicant and the agent make a presentation to council. And I wanted you to have it before you so that you had some time to review it in advance of that presentation.
So that's the Adama project.
That's right.
If memory serves,
Yeah,
sorry to
okay,
interject here, if memory serves, for Mike Adama to go forward at this, with his residential project, the zoning for the land use has to be changed from R whatever it is currently to a residential zone. So I don't believe it is zoned correctly to allow him to do a development proposal, because I don't believe that the land use right now is zoned correctly for his needs. So we have to reassign the zoning on that to allow him to start construction on that.
Well, we have to review that through discussion. So all we're
That's-
doing is accepting the
Yeah.
correspondence, and then at the next meeting,
Right.
there'll be lots of discussion.
Right, but Sue asked what the zoning was about, so that's exactly what it is. We have to change the land
Yeah, okay.
use from what it was to what it can be.
He's proposing that we are going to change it. That's correct.
That's correct. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll move on from
Okay,
there.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Wes. Councilman Craig. Sorry, folks, I'll get used to it. Okay, resolution that council receives the application from December 8th, 2020, SRD staff report, rezoning application to facilitate tourist commercial residential subdivision at 18 Seaward Road, Kelsey Bay. Again, we're just saying we got the correspondence. Do we have a first on there?
I'll make it.
Moved by second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Discussion? Sorry, Sue, were you in favor or against?
Well, I don't, again, I don't know what.
All we're doing is receiving the
is-
application.
We're just receiving it. Okay, yes, I'm in favor. And I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to council report. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, CAO, is that from meetings that have been attended by council?
Well, it depends. It's up to the individual members to determine what needs to be reported on. If they want to report on their appointments on a sort of a quarterly or as required, or when something of value and of interest and of note has been reviewed, it's an opportunity for that. It's really, it could be from following a conference. It's really up to the individual council members to determine what it is they feel they need to report on. So it's not expected that everybody would report on every single meeting they go to.
Okay, I would personally would like to hear feedback on how their meeting went, what did come up. So all of council is up to speed on a regular basis. How does the rest of council feel about that? Councillor Kirschner,
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Councillor Craig,
Sure, no problem.
Councillor Tinsley?
Yep.
Councillor
I think it's a
Polson?
great idea.
And as long as there's something here.
If you're not attending the meeting and really nothing came out of it, but I mean, I think we should all be up to speed on all of it if we can, if there's something to bring back.
Mhm.
Okay, so for Councillor Polson, you mentioned that you attended virtual conference on some?
I did, who, me?
You,
Were you talking
yes.
to me, Mark?
Yes,
Okay. On the 2nd of December, I got notice at 9 o'clock that there was a CSWM meeting, which is the waste management, at 9:30. So I bombed it down to the office, and Lisa got me set up on Zoom. And it was it was quite an eye opener for me. There was lots of terms and things that I didn't really understand, but I did follow the agenda that was on the screen just like this, but I couldn't print it off because I was scared to touch any buttons because I didn't know whether Zoom would disappear. But what came out of it was, what I got out of it was that the waste is going to be hauled down to Duke Point starting next year, I believe. And it's at Duke Point. So Nanaimo has currently got a 20,000 ton amount in their dump site, and there's room for 40,000 tons. So they thought that was, there was lots of years for us hauling from the North Island down there and from Campbell River. With the COVID savings of having the sites closed, the solid waste saved $447,000, and that has been allocated to the reserves. So thought that was a large amount. And there was something that I didn't know about, but it came up that there was a discussion around closing, not holding the 4-time-a-year multi-waste cleanup that we have in Sayward. They were talking about discontinuing that, but the grant from CRD has been reinstated, so it will go ahead next year. They pay,
Good.
CRD pays $6,000 each time that we have that. So we still will be having that, which is good. There's going to be a new Facebook page, and with public engagement on CSWM. And I've heard the advertisements on the local radio about the waste reduction plans for around Christmas time and this holiday season. So people are encouraged to check out the site too and see where we can save. And they talked about a program for marine recycle for ropes, plastic floats. Now, I don't know how this fits into marine, but it's mattresses, fishing gear, netting, and getting the cost retrieved from the producers, the costs to recycle that. So, and offer some kind of solutions to the finfish and the shellfish operators. So there's a few interesting things that happened, and I'm looking forward to going to the next one. I hope I'll understand it a bit more.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
I have just a couple of things. One on December 4th from SRD. The 93.1 visitor radio is approved. I don't have a lot of background information on that. Also, the connection, what they're doing, the last mile initiative to get Zabellis and everybody else hooked up with internet, and that's almost complete at this point. We're not going to know much till next year on that. Now, I was on a conference call yesterday with the new Minister of Municipal Affairs, Josie Osborne, and with Dr. Emerson, who's the Deputy Health Minister. What the discussion was, it was from all mayors from across Vancouver Island and the SRDs. Now, some of the things that came up, one of the questions that was asked that I had was, when the vaccine is available, which likely will be the Moderna, they're talking about bringing it out to us, opposed to us trying to bring our seniors and people with disabilities to the vaccine in Campbell River. And I think they're looking at doing that for most of all in North Island because of, I mean, it's obviously going to be difficult for some people to get to Campbell or some of the bigger centers for this shot. So they are looking at that for Sayward as well. They mentioned again, public swimming is okay. Drive-in up to 50 cars, that's really not an issue here. One of the big things that most communities were discussing was during this pandemic was mental health and addictions. Now, we need to get some kind of report from the medical center here, the clinic, on what it looks like for our community. But apparently is a huge concern for all the mayors and SRDs throughout the area. Minister Osborne will be having conference calls in the new year, similar format to what we did. It's going to be more topic specific at that point, and we're going to go from there. That's all I have to report. So reports on committees, that was it. On the mayor's verbal, I want to thank Melissa, Lisa, and Ann, especially Melissa and Ann, for getting all this set up for us to be able to do this meeting tonight virtually. This is the first one ever done in this community. And of course, there's going to be little hiccups, but that's more computer stuff. But I want to thank everybody very much for all their hard work putting this together.
Yes.
Okay,
Second
do we second that? Do we have any unfinished business?
No, I
Sorry? Sorry, Councillor Paulson?
no.
Nope, you're good. Okay, so as I mentioned, what we're going to do, the staff report, we're not going to see it on the screen. We're just going to go through it. You please take a look at your hard copy. It will be on the website for other people to look at as well. So financial plan timetable. Recommended resolution that receive the financial plan timetable report for information and discussion. And that council approved the financial plan timetable, pardon me, proposed by staff. So do we have a first on that?
I make the motion.
Make a motion, second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Everybody's in favor? Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, staff report verbal from the COVID-19 Safe Restart Grant for local governments. So CAO.
This is a follow-up to our meeting 2 weeks ago, where we talked about the opportunities to purchase a number of items that could assist the municipality with carrying out its business. And what we're asking to do is to bring this back in January 6th so that we can properly plan and do proper estimates for that, have enough time to actually do some cost comparisons and really clearly define what the village needs. There's some very broad criteria, and so we want to make sure that we are wise in spending this money. So that is our request, is to bring this back in January 6th, where we can have a more fulsome assessment of the options that we need.
Okay, do we have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have discussion? All in favor?
Favor.
Oh, I have
If
some
we're-
discussion. I just wondered if there was, going to be meetings with the different departments like Public Works and Parks and Rec and the seniors and the groups that are involved, to see what sort of things they might have for using the money for doing some revitalization for the COVID
Yeah, there's
funds.
bringing it back on the 6th is where we're going to be getting into all of that. And then going through, is that not correct, CAO?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. We're proposing to bring back a list of proposed expenditures, and you know, over the Christmas holidays, it's a little difficult to do any consultation, but we'll be reaching out to the extent that we're able to, and proposing some expenditures for the funds.
Is that okay, Councillor Poulsen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, we're going to back up a little bit here. We'll go to the staff report, the financial statement on page 38. Okay, do we have our CFO that'd like to speak to that?
Sorry, I was just having some mouse issues there. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay, so this is just sort of a high level financial report that's been brought to council as requested. So what I've done is I've done variances up to November 30th. And in my report here, I've basically said that there's still a lot of adjusting entries to be done. There's still some year-end stuff that needs to be posted. So a lot of these numbers will be changing. However, as I've said in my report, looking at surpluses and that sort of thing, reserves, it's estimated that 2020's general surplus, water and sewer, included, would be approximately 250,000. That's being really conservative. It's probably going to be a bit higher than that, but I didn't want to give you sort of a higher number in case that goes down because of adjustments. I don't anticipate it going down. So that's what we've estimated. And again, this is just a really, really high level. If you look at page 39, it breaks out, you know, the village's operating revenue, the operating expenditures for each department. And this is something that would be discussed, you know, in more detail and further at the Cal meetings in January when we do budget discussions. So I'm open to any questions if you have any. Otherwise, that's probably the gist of my report.
CAO, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank Lisa for her efforts to pull this together. I'm not sure if council appreciates how much work went into this for Lisa to really pull all those variances into and to bring a complete document to you. So I just wanted to make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, there's obviously a lot of work that went into it. One of the things that we were looking for that I suggested is, and which is being laid out here, and as Lisa mentioned, or pardon me, CFO mentioned, come the cows that we're going to be doing, is not just what we totally have in reserve, but what is really available, not just because everything's in there, what's spoken for. So we have an exact number of what we're dealing with and what we need to do going forward. So any other discussion on that? I believe we already had a motion to pass that earlier. Is that not correct? Yep, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that was, so we did the COVID report. Staff report verbal regarding the Fire Chiefs Association of BC Road Rescue Grant Program. CEO, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an opportunity for grant funding that closed on December 11th. The staff have submitted an application. However, in the process of doing so, it was determined that to be eligible for this funding, the Village of Saywood had to be on the list of communities that provide road rescue services. And for some administrative reason, we were not. So the fire chief and staff have been working with the BC Association of Fire Chiefs of BC to try and correct this. However, you'll see that there's a resolution here that if required, we compose a letter from the mayor to be able to encourage the Fire Chiefs Association to reestablish our status on that list of eligibility and then proceed to consider our application.
Okay. Any discussion?
I would like to make a motion.
Yeah, I have
to
some
pull
discussion.
that up.
Oh, wait, hang on, Councillor Kirschner. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Councillor Craig.
This is actually for the CAO. I had sent on December the 4th an email regarding this program with a program outline, a synopsis, the application. I sent the email to Pat Rush, Paul Hibbert, Ann McDonald, Sean Koopman, and John Hansen on December the 4th. And I got a reply back from Deputy Chief Paul Hibbert saying that this matter was already being worked upon. That was a good week before this application was due to be tendered. How come we didn't know at that point of time that we were not on the list of rescue services?
Well, Councillor Craigie, I think that we did know that. We discovered that in the course of submitting the application. But of course, it's out of our hands it's up to the Fire Chiefs Association to manage that list. And so I think they're aware of the error, and I'm hopeful that they'll correct that.
Was there not enough time between December the 4th when I sent that email and December the 11th to correct that error? Is my question now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not our error to correct. It's up to the BC fire chiefs to correct that. However, we did submit our application regardless of that, and we're hoping that they'll correct the error and we'll be considered eligible. So it's not up to us to correct it. It's up to the Fire Chiefs Association of BC who administer the grant.
Was there correspondence between the Fire Chiefs Association of BC and the Village of Sayward saying that they were working on correcting it, or that
No,
error had been?
I believe it was verbal between our fire chief and the association. So that's why we have a motion in here to follow up with a letter, if required, to add us to that list of communities that are eligible for funding.
Okay,
See, thank you.
okay, thank you. So we have a motion, please.
I'll move.
We convert. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So move on from there. Okay, and the staff return to council with planned expenditures, ready to go there. We're gonna go to the CAO report.
Sorry, I don't know if did we carry that last motion that staff returned with planned expenditures?
No.
That's another resolution.
Nope, sorry, missed that. Okay, that'll let her be sent to the Village of Sayward for the communities eligible for road rescue and funding the administrative error, rendering the village ineligible for the grant. So, and staff return to council with planned expenditures for 2021 if approved. Do we have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion? Discussion? We're all good? Okay. So now let's see if I've got all that. Staff report from the CAO. Now, you're going to see a lengthy that you have in your hard copies, and it's also on the web on the to-do list coming up. So we're not going to go through every line on that. So please review it on your own, and we can go in discussion on that on the CAL going into January. Are you comfortable with that, CAO?
Yes, thank you. That is the recommended resolution, is that we review, that council and mayor and council review this for information, and that we will be doing a lot more detailed work with this in January.
Okay, so do we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Do we have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any discussion? Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a comment that
Sorry, you're too late.
it
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
overwhelmed me. What?
It's all good.
It overwhelmed me reading this list of everything that the staff was working on. And I think that they need a huge round of applause for everything that they're trying to do besides their day-to-day work. This is it's just incredible, and coordinating it all and keeping everything all together, and it's mind-blowing. And I think they do a huge amount of work for us, and I'd like to thank all of the staff
I agree.
from
Yes.
Agreed.
department.
That so CAO, that list is just for January only. Is there a February one?
No, thank you. This is, I have to credit, a lot of this work has been done by the previous CAO and by Lisa, who has been adding and working and updating this, and likely Melissa as well. So I think I was very appreciative of having this upgraded and up to date when I assumed the office chair. So, and I guess I'd just like to add one thing. When, in addition to everything that Councillor Paulson has said, you'll note that these are all resolutions by council that have been passed by council. So these are directives to us as staff. And so in January, that's the time to look at them and determine if, if the priority and that sort of thing, because I know that certainly newly elected members have other ideas of new initiatives as well. So this is a continually growing document.
Yeah, and as stated in January during the CAL, what we can do is after all of us review it, we can number them really on what is the priorities that we want now and what can wait till, a future date. Because we definitely don't want to completely overwhelm the staff.
No.
Everybody agree with that?
So,
Yes.
so I have another comment, and you can tell me if I'm out of order or if it should be brought up at a different time. But the previous council agreed to hire the the acting CAO or temporary or whatever for a certain period, I believe. And I'm just wondering how comfortable the new CAO is feeling with, this was overwhelming to me, and I've heard about a lot of these things going on, but I wonder if council needs to, once they appointed Mr. France, if they need to now take a look at assessing how much has been done while he's been working, and how is there more that he could do, or how long should his agreement be in force, and when should council decide that he's done, making sure that the new staff and also the new councillors are comfortable with the orientation. So I don't know if anybody else wants to have input in that, or if it's the right time to bring it up, or should it be?
Well, I don't know if it's the right time to bring it up or not. The CAO and I had a conversation pretty much at the start, if I'm not correct, and we've continued that conversation on whether or not and how much she needed Mr. France's support or help. And the CEO will comment on this, but at this point right now, Mr. France is available for phone call. If CAO runs into a question or needs assistance from that, and I'll let our CAO speak to the rest of that, please.
Thank you. Yes, I have had occasion to call Mr. France a couple of times. It's been very helpful, several times, not today. But I am very appreciative of the effort that he primarily put into completing the working files document that you have before you, the project and issue sheet. One thing that's very helpful is that there's been an assessment of medium, high, and low on the far right-hand corner. So
Yes.
That's helpful because, some things do rise to the top naturally because they reemerge as issues. Others, become high and we stick to them until they're done. But in terms of assistance from John, I really appreciated his support as I got going, and I'm very appreciative that I can call him when I need him, and that seems to be working pretty well for me. So.
Yeah, I think what
Okay.
I think Anne is comfortable with the idea that she can contact Mr. France when she needs the assistance, but is not necessary right now to have Mr. France in the office as well. We have to look at also in terms of cost. It's not hurting the village, and it's not hurting Anne not having Mr. France here because he's available through phone.
I would like to continue commenting on a little bit that Councillor Paulson was talking about. And that is, I wasn't expecting Mr. France to be pulling the pin quite yet. It completely blew my mind, and it still does. I don't understand, but in any case, it's done. So,
Well, Mr. France was going to come back. He was going to do the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. He was going to come back the following week, but there was an illness in his family, and he felt it best that he stay home.
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah, and not come to the office. So
Okay.
he wasn't asked by anybody not to come. It was that was his choice from an illness. So from there, of course, the CEO, we've had conversations. She's quite comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
On having him just available by phone call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Does that
but
help?
the issue about, well, the issue about him being, it was voted on that the council call him and ask him to come in on a temporary basis over a certain length of time or a certain amount of money, I believe. And council hasn't had any feedback from where we're at with spending the money that was, or allocating that money and that time to him being here. And I think so it needs to go back to council to be a decision, to make a decision on, and speaking with Mr. France about if he feels like he's ready, that he's done what he can, and it's, it's time for him to leave.
The reason I spoke up was, no, I don't think so, Sue. The reason I'm standing up for is he helped us during a very hard time.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. It's not a question of what Mr. France did or didn't do. That has no bearing in this decision at all. It was the fact that we have a competent CAO who who believes that, who knows that he's there if she, for a phone call, which is still, I believe he's still getting paid for the calls to work with the village on that, and gives. So, and as I said, he didn't come in the following week because of illness. So it wasn't something that he was directed to stay at home and his time was done. It was strictly because of illness that he wasn't here.
Okay.
Now, sorry?
Okay, I'm just wondering, that's all.
Yeah, no, Mr. France, I mean, and I'm grateful, and I think everybody here is also grateful for the work that he did, and to bring it up, because what our CAO currently could have walked into without Mr. France being here would have been
a mess.
Horrific. So there's no question on the value that Mr. France brought. It's a question right now that I believe, and the rest of council can jump in on there if they like, but I believe we have a CAO in place that is quite competent in doing what needs to be done, and also will tell us whether or not she needs assistance if it becomes overwhelming.
Okay.
Yes.
So at that point, we can look at bringing Mr. France back in, or just continue on the daily phone calls that are taking place.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
But with all due respect, I would like to say that it's not up to you, Mark, to make the decision. It's up to the council to make the decision. And so it just seemed like Mr. France left and poof, not coming back.
Yeah, no, it wasn't done that way. Mr. France, sorry to interrupt. Mr. France said to me when we first started, he said that it was up to me on, he could stay for a couple of weeks after when our new CAO started. He said he could stay for a couple of weeks after, which we all said, great, no problem. But it only ended up being those 3 days because of the illness.
Yeah, okay.
So I haven't seen a contract that he was given prior to us being elected. I haven't seen a contract on that. From what I understood, and maybe I'm wrong, it was to help to get our new CAO, her feet on the ground and running, which she is. and he is available for phone calls. From my understanding, that was the contract. It wasn't for him to stay until January or February, but even in January or February, if Ann is still calling him, he'll still be getting paid for that.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
so
Which is,
just, Lisa had her hand up there at one point and now it's
Oh,
down.
sorry,
Is that all
sorry, go
okay?
ahead, Lisa.
Sorry, I just had a point of order question, so I think it should probably go to the CAO. I just had a question about discussing employment issues in the public meeting here, so it may be
Okay, thank
prudent
you.
to move to an in-camera meeting if that's going to be discussed, and I'll leave that to the CAO.
Thank you, Lisa. I was going to say if we got any deeper into the weeds on this, it would be more useful to go into in camera, but I think it is a contract that was issued by the council. So in that respect, that can be information that's public. The details, of course, of the contract would be reserved for an in-camera meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll look, sorry, Wes,
okay.
Councilman Craig.
Yeah, I'm actually just have a question for Sue. Just for clarification, are you looking for a motion of some sort to bring this back to the January 6th agenda, or are you looking for
It-
what specifically
It
are
was
you
just
looking
part
for?
of discussion. I just wanted an update on, so it should probably go to the next meeting or in camera, as Anne says.
We'll move that to an in-camera on the next council meeting.
Good, okay.
Okay,
All right.
CAO, are you good with that?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so staff report is that all for the staff report from CAO?
Well, I'd just like to say that I'd like to bring this this project sheet back on a quarterly basis, just for your information purposes. It is something that can be accessed whenever you need it, but there might be a couple that we want to provide specific updates on. So you'll see this again on a regular basis. And I guess that's it. Again, we'll be getting into the details of some of them in January, and then a couple of them, including the land application that we've for the rezoning application, that including the two resolutions that are here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion to a resolution, pardon me, to accept the CAO report?
That we
With
accept.
first, sorry,
Yes, I move.
you moved. Do we have a second?
I move
Discussion?
that the report.
Okay. And finally, staff arranged for a presentation by a developer and his agent for the January 26, 2021 Committee of the Whole. We have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Yes.
Discussion? Do you have something to say, Councillor Sue Olson?
No,
No, sorry. Okay, CAO.
no, thank you.
Yes, I want to mention that there's a middle resolution there that I'm not sure if you saw it there, but it's the second resolution, just
Okay.
ahead of the third one that you read just now.
Thank you. So the staff returned to council in January with further information on the application to amend the Village of Sayward zoning bylaw number 309, 2000, and portion of lot 304.
And
we
if I
have a
can just
motion?
comment.
Please. Go ahead, CAO.
I'd just like to say that further to Councillor Colson's question earlier as to what this is, this application is now on that worksheet, so that's why it's here with this CAO report. And that's one that we'll be bringing back. This is a good example of something on that report that we'll highlight from time to time. And in this case, it's to sort of get it on the track for your review. So
Okay. Thank you.
So I need a motion on that, please.
So moved.
Second, Tom?
Second. Yep.
Discussion further? We're good? All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to move to the public question. There is, oh, sorry, bylaws, none. New business. CAO.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Oh. Sorry, I see your hand up.
Oh, I'll remove that. Sorry.
I actually looked this time. So public question period.
Well, was the new business not John France moved to January 6th? Is that not new business?
No, that would be information that we'll bring back at a further meeting in camera. So that's not really
Okay.
business that we're dealing with tonight.
Okay, thank you.
So the question period, now this has obviously been done a little differently. So our first virtual meeting, what we requested from the public, which has been put on our website as well as around on Facebook, is that if they do have questions, to submit them in writing to the staff here before 4:30 today, a day meeting, and that they would be read. And I believe that it's allowed to us, the gallery, questions and issue discussed at council meetings. During the meeting, speaker will be allowed, or the questions are allowed to, at this point, because time will permit, because we're not having feedback. So one thing that we will do is whoever is sending in the questions and we answer, they'll be getting an email or a written response. Would that not be correct, CAO?
That's correct. Although in this case, I don't think we've received written questions pertaining to tonight's agenda.
Okay, do we have any open questions that we want to discuss? Because generally what they've done is we've moved all the questions to the end of the meeting. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
So
Yes,
do we
that's
have,
correct.
so do we have any additional questions that are not regarding this agenda?
No, we didn't receive any questions this time, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, we didn't.
No,
Okay,
we
that's
did
all right. I
not.
thought, okay. So that would be as electronic, any questions be submitted in writing in advance of the meeting. Okay, folks, so recommended that the regular council meeting for December be adjourned for December 15th, 2020 be adjourned. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Yes.
Favor?
Discussion? Okay, thank you very much. This will end the recording portion of our program.